Hey babe, you know what? Music. You survived what should have annihilated everything that came before you. Not just your music existence, but legacies, bloodlines, entire music, timelines built on fragile assumptions of endurance. You absorbed catastrophes that would have dissolved music, entire families, erased names from the pages of memory. And yet, here, music, you are functioning as if nothing extraordinary happened. Let me make this abundantly clear. Nothing you have endured was normal. You weren't just music tested. You were sculpted under conditions that would have permanently fractured ordinary music, human consciousness. And yet you walk through music, your days carrying the weight of centuries that were supposed to vanish with you. Music sit there scrolling, blinking, sipping coffee, existing like music. The chaos you endured is trivial, but it isn't trivial. Music, it can't be. You survived the unsurvivable. Every betrayal, every abandonment, every blow that should have shattered your spirit did not. It passed music through you. It tried to annihilate you and it failed spectacularly. Do you understand how unnatural that is? The amount of psychological pressure, emotional bombardment, existential collapse, music you endured would have liquefied normal people. Entire genetic music sequences would have halted, family lines would have ended, memories would have disintegrated, and yet you're here reading these words, breathing, processing the world as if it hasn't already been reshaped, music, by your survival. You processed horrors without witnesses, without music guides, without any conventional lifeline to tether you. While everyone, music, else around you complained about minor setbacks, you were ingesting extreme realities, digesting music them, and converting them into something new, something unclassified, something unquantifiable. Music, you became an anomaly that operates under different rules. Music, describe what should have ended you. The first betrayal, the one that pierced music, your chest, and left a crater inside your sense of safety, should have been the chapter that finished your story. That loss, the one that made reality, music itself feel like a lie, should have been your last waking moment. That abandonment, the kind music that made walls and darkness companions, should have dissolved your hope entirely. And yet, music, you absorbed it. You didn't scream, you didn't melt, you didn't crumble. You internalized every ounce, music of venom, every whisper of deceit, every isolation and heartbreak. And you kept moving forward. You metabolized music, destruction in a way that defies understanding. No therapy, music session, no motivational lecture, no carefully curated inspirational content exists for what you, music, endured. You have rewritten what survival is capable of. You are functioning at music thresholds that should not exist. Researchers, psychologists, anyone attempting music to quantify human stress or endurance would label you incompatible with continued music life. And yet you are here quietly, calmly, unnervingly, music, functional. Others sense it, they feel it without music, knowing why. You have touched horrors they cannot imagine and returned to music existence with an eerie stability that challenges their comprehension. It terrifies them because they know somewhere deep in their core that you were subjected to realities that would have ended music them. You have traversed internal landscapes they will never step into. They notice, but they cannot articulate it. They see your presence as a disruption, a gravitational anomaly of endurance music, and their discomfort is your silent proof. While most people collapse under minor pressures, you've been repeatedly annihilated in ways that would have disassembled ordinary minds. And here is the secret no one tells you. The poison music absorbed didn't vanish. It didn't dissipate. It became music structural, a part of the architecture of your being. You are no longer the same music entity. Your nervous system has been rebuilt under extreme duress. Your perception has been reprogrammed music by the demands of survival. You operate on a frequency that is alien to ordinary consciousness. You are carrying the weight of annihilated music timelines, the consequences of devastation, and the remnants music of catastrophic events, all within a framework that allows you to function, and most unnervingly, music for those around you. You do it with composure, without spectacle, without broadcast. Music. Let me tell you about the rest of them. Those who walked similar paths but failed. Some are music medicated, their senses dulled to manage the intensity they could not contain. Some vanished into addictions, endless cycles, music that eroded them from the inside. Some are trapped in therapy sessions endlessly, music, parsing the first years while you have already survived 5. Some gave up, some cave up, some continue to, music, surrender. That is not judgment, it is observation. The path you walked was not meant for music, survival. And yet, against overwhelming odds, you emerged intact. Not because of luck, not because of divine music favor, not because anyone predicted it. You survived because something inside refused to yield. Something refused, music, to let the world's design claim victory over you. Consider what they expected. They expected breakdowns, meltdowns, music, emotional exposees. They wanted proof of fragility because it would validate music, their own limitations. They waited for the moment you would falter. They counted on your collapse music as confirmation that human thresholds exist and are unreachable. That moment, music, never came. You walked through each obstacle, transmuting despair, isolation, betrayal, and relentless music pressure into endurance. Each day of continued survival became a quiet, music act of defiance. Each second of composed existence became a testament to the fact that you are structured differently, operating outside music conventional measures of human limitation. This is where the music divergence becomes clear. You are no longer the person who entered these trials. That version of you is music dead, gone, buried beneath layers of annihilation and reconstruction. You did not heal in the traditional sense. Healing would, music, imply a return to prior states, a resumption of normally, music, a restoration of what was lost. That is impossible. You are irreversibly altered. You evolved, adapted, and reconstructed music yourself under conditions that are incompatible with ordinary human experience. Your nervous system has music been tempered by destruction. Your psychological framework was forged in extremity. You are no longer music, reactive in the ways that humans expect. Their guilt trips, their emotional manipulations, their petty games, none of it, music, touches you. You observe, process, and decide from a place beyond hope or fear. You are untouchable. Music, not because of protection, but because you have already faced music annihilation and remained intact. Here is what happens to music, those who encounter you. Now they feel judged when you, music, are not judging. They feel exposed when you are merely observing. Their defenses, music, falter not because you act aggressively, but because your presence, music, is a reminder that survival is possible beyond their music comprehension. You are the measure they cannot reach. They see their music own limitations reflected back through your quiet persistence. They are disturbed because your music capacity to metabolize destruction shatters their models of cause and effect. Your continued music existence is a threat because it violates every expectation they held for human fragility, and they do not know, music, how to respond. They avoid you. They keep their distance. They invent narratives, music, to explain your survival. They attempt to catalog and categorize you, but you defy categorization. Music, your power is latent, immense, untested. You have survived music, conditions that destroy conventional lives, relationships, identities, careers, and even entire music social networks. There is nothing left in the standard arsenal of suffering that can touch you. Job loss. You have music, survived worse betrayal. You have processed worse public humiliation. You have endured worse. There is no conventional music threat that carries weight anymore because the fire has already claimed its toll and left you standing. This is the music untold advantage of survival at your level. Nothing can music unseat you because you have internalized extremes that others cannot even conceptualize. You are music, a vessel of endurance no one else can carry, a standard no one else can meet. And yet, music, here is the twist that continues to define you. You do not need validation. You do not, music, need witnesses. You do not need acknowledgement, explanation, or applause. Every second, music of agony you endured, every collapse you avoided, every betrayal you absorbed is sufficient. You have paid your dues, music in full. The world need not recognize it. Transformation belongs, music, entirely to you. Others will speculate, they will invent narratives, assume motives, attempt to quantify your survival. None of it matters. Music, you move in silence. You exist. Your very presence conveys, music, everything that language cannot capture. You are proof without explanation, victory without music declaration, transformation without audience. You have music become something else entirely, not better, not worse, but fundamentally, music different. You carry capacities, endurance, and perception that have no parallel, music, in ordinary life. And this is just the beginning. The power that you hold now, the internalized music, mastery of survival is waiting to be realized, not externally, music imposed, not socially validated, waiting quietly within you, ready to manifest music whenever it is required. And anyone who comes into your orbit feels the weight of that potential. whether they recognize it or music not. You are no longer simply living. You are functioning as the apex of survival, an untouchable music standard, a living measure of what is possible beyond expectation. And yet, music, the journey does not end here. What you have survived is only the foundation. What you have become, music, is only the initial structure. There are layers of endurance, music, dimensions of perception, and channels of capability still undiscovered. Music within you. And those who attempt to meet you in ordinary terms will fail. They cannot access music, the depths, the transformations, the fire-tested mechanisms that sustain you. They can only feel them, sense them, and tremble at the realization that you operate music, feel them, sense them, and tremble at the realization that you operate. You have already walked through annihilation. You have already outlasted music conditions designed to erase every trace of you. But the final chapter, music, of what you can become, the full extent of the capacities you carry, the true application, music, of the energy forged in darkness has not yet been revealed. That is the space, music, you are approaching now, and the space that others will never fully enter. And as you step toward it, remember the survival you accomplished is only the threshold. What comes music next is entirely of your own design, and it will redefine everything. Music, they thought they understood about human endurance. You are approaching the music threshold that most never see, the one that exists beyond survival, beyond music, endurance, beyond the structures of ordinary human limitation. You have already processed music, devastation that should have disassembled your being into fragments, music unrecognizable to yourself. You have already outlived the expectations of those who counted you out, of those who assumed music that once the heat of your trial reached its peak, you would collapse music into irrelevance or despair. But now, the moment music before you is unlike anything you have experienced. This is the stage, music, where survival transforms into sovereignty. This is where music, the energy you have accumulated, refined through fire and trauma, begins to move you with a precision and force that is untraceable to ordinary. Music comprehension. Those around you, those who glance at your existence and measure it against their own limited music experiences, will feel disoriented. They will feel unsettled. They will feel the music weight of what you carry, even if they have no understanding of its origin or magnitude. Every music step you take beyond this threshold is not about proving anything to them. They do not get to define your music limits. They cannot quantify the depth of what you endured, nor the music architecture of resilience you have constructed in secret. Their disbelief, their fascination, music, their fear. All of it is confirmation that you have moved beyond the music conventional plane of human functionality. You are no longer operating music found within the reference points that anchor ordinary people. Their attempts to interact music with you on surface level paradigms will fail because music, your mechanisms, your internal operating system was forged under conditions that would have broken music them permanently. You have become something that looks human but functions Music in dimensions of experience that are invisible to those who have not been tested, annihilated, and reconstructed. Music in the same way. It is tempting for outsiders to assume that you possess some form of perfection, some untouchable music invincibility. But the truth is far more subtle, far more dangerous. Music, you are not untouched. You are not immune. You have been marked, shaped, transformed, music, and in some ways scarred beyond recognition. What makes you formidable is not a lack of injury. It is the meticulous, music-form way in which you absorbed each wound, each betrayal, each devastation, music, and converted it into structural capacity, where others, music, would collapse under repeated trauma, where they would fracture into parts that music, no therapy, no external support could repair. You have internalized music and reconstituted every element, converting chaos into leverage, agony into music, insight, destruction into power. That is why music, your presence, unsettles people. That is why they feel something shifting when you enter a room. You are no longer music, readable. You are no longer predictable. You operate with a consistency that is not music, anchored in hope nor fear nor obligation, but in something music, far older and more elemental. The raw mechanics of endurance forged in extremes. Now consider what this really means. Every interaction you have, every confrontation, every negotiation, music, every casual exchange is layered with unspoken authority. People can sense it even if they do, music, not consciously understand why your calm is not ordinary. Your composure is not music. The absence of flinching, the absence of reaction where reaction would be expected, signals that you, music, have been elsewhere, that you have traversed landscapes that few even conceive exist, that you have faced annihilation, music, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, and emerged functional. This is music. The level of existence where ordinary measures of empathy, intimidation, music, manipulation, and persuasion lose their conventional power. You are music beyond it. You are in a domain where subtlety carries far more weight than spectacle, where silence, music is a declaration louder than any speech, where the act of simply existing conveys truth that others spend music, their lives trying and failing to articulate. And yet here is the paradox, music that defines the next stage. The more you operate in this domain, the more you will feel isolated. Music. The world is not built for people who can metabolize extremity in this way. Those who have not undergone the processes music you have endured cannot meet you in your experience. They cannot hear the frequency at which you resonate. Their language, music, fails them. Their frameworks are inadequate. And this is not a music judgment against them. It is a structural truth. You are music evolving beyond the social, psychological, and emotional ecosystems that governed your existence prior to music, this transformation. This is why the experience of loneliness will not leave you. It is not a flaw in your design. It is the necessary consequence of existing music in strata of consciousness that others cannot reach. And yet, music, paradoxically, this separation is your advantage. While others struggle with limitations, music, they cannot overcome. You are free to navigate realities on your music own terms. You are unmeasured, untethered, and fully sovereign within the architecture of your being. Let us go deeper. Music. You have learned something that few will ever grasp. Survival is not the music endpoint. Surviving is merely the foundation upon which power, clarity, and influence are constructed. You absorbed music, horrors not to end them, but to carry their imprint, to process music, their energy, to integrate their lessons in ways that are invisible but irreversible. The magnitude of this music process cannot be underestimated. You have endured sequences of betrayal, loss, and annihilation that would have erased music, ordinary lives. And yet, every ounce of that experience exists within you as a resource, a reservoir, a force that can now be music directed, channeled, and utilized. Unlike ordinary music, power which is often dependent on recognition, validation, or leverage, the energy you music hold is intrinsic, uncontested, and autonomous. This is why no conventional threat, music, can reach you. You have already been through extremes that cannot be imposed artificially. You are the standard music against which extremes are measured, and those who encounter you feel it immediately. Here is what music they do not understand. While they are preoccupied with surface, music, level competition, social dynamics, and conventional hierarchies, you are operating music in a different currency entirely. Your interactions are not dictated by ego or fear or desire for approval. They are dictated by an internal calculus that music has been refined under conditions of existential intensity. You do. Music negotiate from weakness because weakness no longer defines you. You do not react from hope or fear because those variables have been music processed, quantified, and absorbed into your being. You move music with strategic clarity born from lived extremity. And it is this clarity, this absolute structural sovereignty that makes you music, unreadable, unpredictable, and fundamentally disruptive to those still bound by ordinary measures of limitation. Now pause for a moment and consider the consequences, music, of this. Every person who has relied on manipulation, deceit, or conventional coercion in your music presence will experience the subtle but undeniable weight of your resilience. Every individual who counted on your music collapse will feel the friction of expectation versus reality. They will attempt to map music you, to predict you, to constrain you within familiar paradigms. They will fail. Every music failure of comprehension, every moment where their assumptions are invalidated is a silent testament to the transformation music you have undergone. You are a living, walking calibration of possibility beyond what they assumed possible. And that is what music makes your existence a challenge not only to them, but to every measure of ordinary limitation that music previously defined your world. And yet there is a dangerous dimension to music, this evolution. The power you hold, the clarity you possess, the capacity, music, to absorb devastation and remain functional is not inert. It will influence the environment, music. Whether you intend it or not, your presence will provoke responses. People will reveal themselves, music, in ways they never would in your absence. They will disclose weakness, manipulation, music, envy, and fear simply because the gravitational pull of your survival exposes music, the fragility in their own constructs, They cannot help it. They cannot resist it. This is why you feel the subtle, sometimes unspoken music tension in the rooms you enter. This is why individuals who believe themselves strong suddenly act defensively. You carry music, a frequency of survival, a magnitude of endurance that compels response. And whether consciously, music acknowledged or not, this positions you as a force beyond ordinary music control. Consider this: you are no longer human in the conventional sense. Not in the sense that music, lack empathy or emotion or connection, but in the sense that your structural resilience, your psychological capacity, your internalized music mastery of extremes places you beyond ordinary comprehension. Ordinary people operate within the bounds of hope, fear, expectation, and social music validation. You operate beyond them. Your framework does not bend to conventional logic or social coercion. You do not need music, permission, recognition, or acceptance. Your authority exists. Music within the intrinsic proof of your survival, your capacity to endure, and the clarity music of your presence. And that is a kind of power that cannot be gifted or borrowed. It can only be music realized by those who have walked through the same fires. Now it is music time to understand the next stage of this existence. You are no longer just surviving, you are evolving. Survival has music been a crucible. Evolution is the next logical progression. What music you carry. The energy refined through trauma is a weapon not against music, others, but against limitation itself. Every challenge, every confrontation, music, every attempt to destabilize you will fail not because you avoid music, but because you are fundamentally equipped to process it. You metabolize destabilization. You convert opposition into music, a refined signal. You transform chaos into operational clarity. And the wildest music part is that this transformation is not visible. You do not announce it. You do not music display it. You simply are, and your existence communicates far more than any declaration could. Here is the truth that no one will music tell you. The people who attempted to break you, who counted on your collapse, who hoped for your surrender, are now irrelevant music to your process. Their understanding, their judgment, their validation, none of it carries weight. You no longer operate within the paradigm of their music expectations. You have surpassed it, the pain, betrayal, and extremity they, music, imposed has been internalized, reconstructed, and repurposed as raw capability. And while they speculate, music, analyze, and attempt to interpret your continued existence, you move in dimensions they cannot access. Your potential, your power, your clarity is theirs. Music dissents but never command. And yet, even with all of this, you must remember mastery is iterative. The process of refinement, music, the deepening of structural resilience, and the evolution of your internal capacities is ongoing. Music. You have already walked through annihilation. You have already outlasted music conditions designed to erase you. But the full manifestation, music, of the energy within you, the true application of your accumulated music, power, and the demonstration of the structural transformations you carry are not yet complete. What you do next, how you direct music, this force, How you continue to evolve will define not only the trajectory, music of your own existence, but also the unconscious gravity, music you exert on the world around you. The people who see you, who sense music, the depth of what you carry, will continue to measure you against their limited frameworks. They will misinterpret music, calm as indifference, control as arrogance, stability as invulnerability. But you know the truth. You understand the music architecture of your own evolution. You know the dimensions of pain you converted into capacity, the ways in which music you internalized devastation and turned it into function, and because you know music, this you do not need to justify, explain, or demonstrate. Music, the work is complete within you. You've absorbed music more than they can measure, more than they can comprehend, more than music they can withstand. And so as you move forward from this threshold, remember, music, this, every engagement, every interaction, every decision is informed music by extremity. You alone have survived. Every challenge is music, now approachable, navigable, and transformable, because the crucible music, now approachable and transformable, because the crucible music that formed you has rendered ordinary obstacles irrelevant. Nothing external. Music can destabilize you unless you allow it to exist in the framework of your own energy. You are in music essence, untouchable. Not because you are invulnerable, but because you have already confronted music, annihilation, and emerged coherent. You are standard music of survival, a model of transformation, a measure beyond measure. And what lies music ahead? That is the space we will enter next, the space where survival transforms music into dominion over the internal and external, where latent power, music, finds full expression, and where the dimensions of human endurance are rewritten entirely. You are music, moving toward it now, and every step, every breath, every quiet decision continues to build what cannot music be undone, what cannot be contained, and what cannot be ignored. This is where you step music for bond survival into mastery. And when you arrive, nothing will ever feel ordinary. Music again. Not for you, not for those who attempt to understand, and not for the world. Music that can no longer measure you by conventional standards. You are stepping into the final arena of what it means to exist. Music beyond ordinary endurance. Everything that has music come before, the betrayals, the devastations, the annihilations you absorbed, was a prelude. Music. It was the scaffolding on which you now stand, towering above them. Music expectations of ordinary humanity, untouchable by the frameworks that constrained music that. The full measure of your survival is no longer defined by mere continuation. It is defined music by mastery, the ability to direct the energy of extremity into deliberate form, to navigate music reality without being tethered to its conventional rules, to move through music, the world with influence that is invisible yet undeniable. This music is where the previous iterations of yourself, the survivor, the silent music, the unbroken, give way to something greater, something inevitable, music for one forged in the fires you walk through, but unprecedented for the world around you. You are no longer music, operating under the limitations that govern ordinary human reactions. The mechanisms, music, that once defined fragility, fear, doubt, emotional dependency, validation, music, have been stripped away in the crucible of your experience. You music are structurally resistant to collapse because your architecture, music, has been reconstructed in extremes. You no longer flinch at threats, no longer music bend to expectation, no longer weigh the opinions of those who have never glimpsed the depths you have crossed. Their interventions, music, their manipulations, their strategies to destabilize you fail at a fundamental music level because they are calibrated to a frequency you no longer inhabit. You exist, music, in a domain where only the untested, the unprepared, and the uninitiated feel the weight of what you carry. And they sense it. Even when you say nothing, even when you move music quietly, even when you allow the ordinary world to continue believing music that your life is ordinary. This is the space where mastery begins to define itself. The energy you music carry, the capacity you honed through devastation is now available, music, for deliberate application. Every instinct, every perception, every fragment of your consciousness that was reconstructed under extreme duress, music is now at your command. You are no longer merely reacting, you are creating, directing, shaping. Music. You can observe chaos without being consumed, influence dynamics without being recognized, and move with an authority that music is incomprehensible to those anchored in limitation. Their inability, music, to understand you becomes your strategic advantage. Their expectation, music, of fragility is the signal of their irrelevance. And in their uncertainty, in their music, discomfort, in their subtle attempts to measure what they cannot, your power, music, becomes tangible, even if invisible. Understand, music, this clearly. What you have become is beyond the scale of conventional measurement. You are not music, simply resilient. You are a force that defies the parameters used to define endurance, music, strength, or capacity. The human models, the social expectations, music, the psychological constructs they rely on. None of it applies to you. You operate on an axis that music intersects with reality, but is defined by your own structural evolution. This is music. Why your presence unsettles people. It is not the loudness of your actions. It is not the volume of your music declarations. It is the gravity of your existence, the calibration of your survival into a form, music, they cannot parse. The evidence of what is possible when someone not only endures annihilation but transforms it into functional dominion. Music. You will notice that the world behaves differently in your orbit. People will misread your stillness as confidence, your silence as indifference, music, your composure as superiority. They will assume that you are untouchable, music, because you are unshakable. They are only partially correct. You are unshakable, music. Yes. But not because of luck or detachment. You are unshakable because every ounce of chaos, music, every blade of betrayal, every inferno of despair you have absorbed, music, every inferno of despair you have absorbed, music, has been converted into structural capacity. And the subtlety of this capacity, the fact that it operates invisibly without music display magnifies its effect. People sense it. They cannot control it. They cannot predict it. They cannot interact with it in any music way that is meaningful to their conventional understanding. And that is where your mastery becomes its own shield. It is untouchable not because it must, music, be defended, but because its existence is fundamentally inaccessible to those who have not endured what you have endured. Let's examine music, what mastery looks like when survival becomes active dominion. Mastery is not about control, music, in the traditional sense. It is not about manipulation or coercion. It is about inhabiting music extremes with fluency and translating them into freedom. Music mastery is walking into rooms where others feel constrained and moving through with an authority that music requires no explanation, no broadcast, no validation. Mastery. Music as perceiving the fragility of conventional structures and knowing instinctively music that your trajectory is untethered. It is the ability to function in conditions that would annihilate others, music, without needing guidance, support, or witness. It is the capacity to metabolize extreme pressure into deliberate, coherent action without allowing the external music world to define your internal state. This is the evolution of survival into sovereignty. And it is what you, music, are entering now. You are entering a state where everything external becomes a reflection of your internalized extremity. Obstacles are no longer threats. They are vectors, music, for amplification. Opposition is no longer danger. It is calibration, music, betrayal, abandonment, and manipulation from others. No longer music define your path. They highlight the boundaries of ordinary comprehension and reinforce the structural integrity, music of your existence. You operate with precision born from annihilation. Music. And that precision allows you to navigate spaces that others cannot perceive, to engage with music systems they cannot influence, and to move through social, emotional, and psychological music landscapes with authority that is silent yet undeniable. Consider how music, your energy, impacts those around you. People are drawn to music and repelled by it simultaneously. They do not understand it. They cannot anticipate it. They cannot replicate it. Your presence, music, exposes their limitations, because your survival is a structural proof that the human experience can exceed their models. And while they are busy attempting to, music, reconcile their inability to predict or control you, you are already moving, already acting, already leveraging your music mastery in ways that are invisible yet profoundly consequential. Music, their fear, envy, curiosity, and awe are signals of music, your structural advantage. They cannot name it, but they feel it. And in that space, your influence, music, is absolute without effort, because the work has already been done through survival. Now, here is a revelation that music few will ever fully grasp. Mastery is not linear. It is not about acquiring skills, music, status, or influence in predictable increments. It is about evolving under extreme music conditions and translating that evolution into functional presence. Every decision you make, every choice to music act or not act, every silence, every measured word is amplified because it is grounded music in the extreme reality you have processed. The ordinary variables that govern music, human interaction, expectation, Ego, fear, desire do not apply to you. Music, in the same way, you are operating under a new framework, a framework forged in the fires that music annihilate ordinary consciousness, calibrated by the architecture of survival and guided by music, clarity that only experience of annihilation can generate. And yes, there is a social cost. The further you, music, advance into this space, the more isolated you will feel. Those who cannot, music, meet you at this level will drift away. Their inability to perceive your internal world is not failure on their part. It is simply structural incompatibility. Music. You'll be misunderstood, misjudged, and underestimated. But that isolation is also music, your advantage. It frees you from the constraints of ordinary social dynamics. It allows you to operate in dimensions where your music, power, your clarity, and your influence are unchallenged by conventional limitations. Loneliness is not music, a deficiency here. It is altitude. It is the rarefied space in which mastery of survival can crystallize music into sovereignty. Now, understand this clearly. You are untouchable because you've music already been consumed by what would have destroyed others. Every loss, every collapse you, music, avoided, every betrayal you endured without fracturing your core has created music, an infrastructure that cannot be dismantled by ordinary means. You are a structural music anomaly in the human experience. And because you are untouchable, you are free. Free from the music expectations of those who assumed you would break. Free from the limitations of music, conventional survival metrics. Free to navigate, to act, to transform, and to exist on music, a plane that is inaccessible to ordinary life. Your mastery is not declared. It is inherent. It is silent. Music. It is undeniable. And the world can sense it even if it cannot measure it. The next stage of music, this evolution, is deliberate application. You have amassed capacities, internalized powers, and an understanding of extremity that are untested. Music, survival was the threshold. Sovereignty is the next music domain. You are entering a state in which the latent energy of your experience can be deployed, not to harm, music, not to dominate in conventional terms, but to operate with precision that others cannot disrupt, to act from clarity that others' music cannot comprehend, and to navigate realities with authority born from music annihilation. The environment, social constructs, and conventional measures of influence are secondary music to the trajectory you have established. Your power is inherent. It does not need music to be validated. It does not need to be displayed. It simply exists, and that existence, music, is already transforming everything in its orbit. Consider music, the implications. Every challenge, every obstacle, every confrontation that arises now is reduced in music magnitude relative to the internal architecture you have forged. Whereas others, music, perceive crisis, you perceive vectors for function. Whereas others, music, feel destabilized, you feel opportunity. Whereas others are music, constrained by social, emotional, and psychological norms. You are liberated. Music by your own structure, your own mastery, and your own evolution. The work of music survival has become the framework for sovereignty. The endurance of extremes has become music, the template for influence. And the structural clarity you carry allows you to music act in ways that are simultaneously subtle, decisive, and irreversible. Let us address the final reality. The world will never fully music comprehend you. It will continue to speculate, misinterpret, and attempt to measure music what cannot be measured. It will continue to compare you to ordinary standards, expecting music breaks where none exist, expecting vulnerability where you have none. But these are not obstacles, they are affirmations. They are proof that you, music, have moved beyond the plane they occupy. You are now operating from a space of inherent authority, calibrated, music by extremity, and informed by knowledge that only lived experience of annihilation could provide. This is music, the apex of your journey, the transformation from survivor to sovereign, from invisible power to unassailable music presence, from reaction to deliberate dominion. And here is music, the most important truth of all. You are not defined by the witnesses of your survival. You are not defined by recognition, music, by acknowledgement, by validation, or by understanding music from those who could never traverse the path you walked. Your music sovereignty exists entirely within you. Your mastery is irreducible to words, social metrics, or conventional measures. It is structural, operational, and music unassailable. You have transformed annihilation into authority. You have transformed extremity, music, into clarity. You have transformed survival into sovereignty. And as you, music, continue to exist, move and act from this state, you will discover dimensions of capability, influence, music, and understanding that cannot be imposed, only realized. The final step is integration, the full manifestation of the capacities. Music clarity and authority you carry must be lived, exercised music, and tested not as a demonstration for others, but as a calibration for yourself. Every music interaction, every decision, every observation is an opportunity to anchor the music transformations you have endured into operational presence. Every time you move through the world without reliance, music on validation. Every time you act with precision, grounded music in experience rather than expectation. Every time you process chaos without fracturing music, you reinforce the sovereignty you now inhabit. This is music, the ultimate expression of what you have survived. This is the final music articulation of what you have become. And when the world finally attempts to measure you, it will fail. Every paradigm, music, every assumption, every standard will be inadequate. Music, every assumption, every standard will be inadequate. Music, you will exist beyond comprehension, beyond expectation, beyond ordinary limitation. Music, not because you are untouchable in the conventional sense, but because you have already absorbed annihilation, transmuted it, music, into structure and are now operating from a foundation that is both absolute and music autonomous. You have achieved the apex of survival. You have achieved the foundation, music, of mastery. You have reached a domain where presence alone carries authority, clarity, and influence, music that cannot be denied. And now finally understand this. Everything you have endured, every catastrophe, music, Every betrayal, every annihilation you survived was never punishment. It was music preparation. Preparation for a domain few can enter. Preparation for a life unmeasurable by ordinary music standards. Preparation for the transformation of trauma into sovereignty. You are the human who has walked through music annihilation, absorbed it, and emerged not just intact, but calibrated. Music for absolute presence, deliberate influence, and operational mastery. The world will continue, and those who cannot music perceive this will speculate, misjudge, and fear what they cannot name. And you will continue unmeasured, unbound, sovereign, and music evolving, because the power you carry is not borrowed. It is inherent. It is yours. And it will define music, your existence, in ways the world has never witnessed and can never anticipate.